Welcome to our channel United Coaching. Today we will discuss next 20 questions from the biology section of Neet Re-examination that was conducted in June 2024, and these questions are from booklet code C1. Okay, our next question is ligases is a class of enzymes responsible for catalyzing the linking together of two compounds. Which of the following bonds is not catalyzed by it? So the correct option is CC bond. Now ligases catalyze the joining of PO bond, CO bond and CN bond, that is phosphorus oxygen, carbon oxygen and carbon nitrogen bonds. Now the carbon carbon bonds are broken by other enzymes like oxygenases, lyases, lipases, etc. Okay, our next question is about tobacco stem and the callus proliferation in it. Okay, so the question is F. Scooge observed that callus proliferated from the internodal segments of tobacco stem when oxygen was supplied with one of the following except. So the incorrect option over here is abscisic acid. Now F. Scooge observed that the callus proliferated only if the nutrient medium was supplied with the extracts of vascular tissues, yeast extract, coconut milk or DNA in addition to oxygens and not abscisic acid. Okay, next question. Given below are some statements about the plant growth regulators, that is plant hormones. So option A is all GAs are acidic in nature. So this is right. GAs, that is gibberellic acids, are acidic in nature and cytokinins are basic in nature. Okay. Option number B, oxygens are antagonistic to GAs. So this is wrong. Abscisic acid is antagonistic to gibberellic acid. Okay. C, zeatin was isolated from coconut milk. So this is true. Zeatin is an example of cytokinin hormone responsible for cytokinesis and was extracted from coconut milk. Okay. Then option number D, ethylene induces flowering in mango. So this option is correct. And last option E, abscisic acid induces parthenocarpy. So this is wrong. Oxygens induce parthenocarpy in certain fruits such as tomatoes. So over here the correct option is A, C and D. Okay, next question. Identify the incorrect statement related to gel electrophoresis. So option number 1, separated DNA fragments can be directly seen under UV radiation. So very first option is incorrect, that separated DNA fragments can be visualized only after staining the DNA with compound known as ethidium bromide followed by exposure to UV radiation, and we cannot see pure DNA fragments in visible light and without staining. Okay, so obviously the other options are correct. Separated DNA can be extracted from gel pieces and fragment of DNA move towards anode. That is true. DNA is a negatively charged molecule, so it moves towards the positive electrode, that is anode. And fourth one, sieving effect of agarose gel helps in separation of DNA fragments. The DNA fragments separate resolve according to their size through the sieving effect provided by the agarose gel. Okay, our next question. Which of the following examples show monocarpillary unilocular ovary with many ovules? So let's understand these things first. What is monocarpillary? Monocarpillary means having a single carpel, which is the basic unit of female reproductive part of a flower called gynoecium. And unilocular ovary is an ovary with a single chamber or locule, meaning all of its ovules are contained within a single space. Okay, so the options given over here are sesbania, brinjal, indigofera, tobacco or asparagus. So the correct option is A and C, that is sesbania and indigofera. Okay, our next question. Given below are two statements. Statement 1, in the lac operon, the Z gene codes for beta galactosidase, which is primarily responsible for the hydrolysis of lactose into galactose and glucose. So this option is correct. This statement is correct. And statement 2, in addition to lactose, glucose or galactose can also induce lac operon. So this statement is wrong. Glucose and galactose cannot act as inducers of lac operon. Rather, lactose or allolactose acts as inducers of lac operon. So over here option number 1 is right. Statement 1 is true, but statement 2 is false. Okay, our next question is about identifying the diagram and identifying the parts in it. So the part marked X in this given figure is, so this is a fruit of strawberry. This is the longitudinal section of strawberry fruit, and the X part is thalamus. Okay, now as you can see in the figure, the X represents the thalamus and the green part is calyx, and those tiny white specks which are commonly considered seeds are actually the true fruits, and each of them contain tiny seeds. Okay, strawberry is a false fruit, and strawberry is actually a multiple fruit which consists of many tiny individual fruits embedded in a fleshy receptacle. Okay. This question is about two statements. Statement 1, in a dicotyledonous leaf, the adaxial epidermis, that is the upper surface, generally bears more stomata than abaxial epidermis, that is the lower surface. So this statement is wrong. In dicotyledonous leaf, adaxial, that is upper surface, generally bears very less stomata or may even lack stomata, and it has less number of stomata in comparison to the abaxial surface, that is the lower surface. So statement number 1 is wrong. And statement number 2, in a dicotyledonous leaf, the adaxially placed palisade parenchyma is made up of elongated cells which are arranged vertically and parallel to each other. So this statement is true. So the correct option over here is option number 2. Statement 1 is false and statement 2 is true. Okay, our next question, which of the following are not fatty acids? Okay, so the options are glutamic acid, arachidonic acid, palmitic acid, lecithin, and aspartic acid. So in this one, glutamic acid and aspartic acid are amino acids, and lecithin is a phospholipid, and the option B, arachidonic acid, and option C, palmitic acids are the fatty acids. So the option A, D, and E is not the option of fatty acid. So over here the correct option is A, D, and E only. Okay, our next question is, consider the pyramid of energy of an ecosystem given below, and it has 4 levels, T1, T2, T3, and T4. And if T4 is equivalent to 1000 joule, what is the value of at T1? Okay, so now here T4 level has 1000 joules, and according to the 10% law, which states that only 10% of energy is transferred to each trophic level from lower trophic level to upper level. So the value at T1 has to be 10 lakh joules or 1 million joules. So now if T1 has 10 lakh joules or 1 million joules, the T2 will get 10% of that, that is the T2 will have 100,000 or 1 lakh joules. Okay, so now at T3 level, 10% of that 1 lakh or 100,000 joule will get transferred, and at the T3 level you will get 10,000 joules. Okay, and at the T4 level 10% of that will get transferred, that is 10% of 10,000 joules will get transferred, and hence at T4 level you will get 1000 joules. So according to this calculation, option number 4 is correct, that is 10 lakh joules or 1 million joules. Okay, our next question is, which of the following products diffuses out of the chloroplast during photosynthesis? So the options are ADP, NADPH, oxygen, or ATP. So the correct option is oxygen. Now the product of light reactions are ATP, NADPH, and oxygen, and of these oxygen diffuses out of the chloroplast, while ATP and NADPH are utilized further in the process of food synthesis. Okay, our next question is, recombinant DNA molecule can be created normally by cutting the vector DNA and source DNA respectively with. So over here only first option is correct, because they are using hint 2 on vector DNA and hint 2 on source DNA. The other options will not work because they are using hint 2 on vector DNA and a different enzyme on source DNA like LU1, EcoR1, BAMH1 on source DNA. So that will not work unless we cut the vector and source DNA with the same restriction enzyme. The recombinant vector molecule cannot be created. In other options, 2 different restriction enzymes are used for cutting the vector DNA and source DNA, so they cannot create recombinant DNA. Now to give you a recap about this question, recombinant DNA is created by combining DNA fragments from different sources such as plant and bacterial DNA, and restriction enzymes like HIN1, EcoR1, etc. create sticky ends when they cut DNA. Now sticky ends are used in cloning technology to join 2 DNA fragments together using DNA ligase, and the sticky ends form hydrogen bonds with the complementary bases of the other strand, allowing the fragments to be joined. Okay, our next question, which one of the following is not a limitation of ecological pyramids? So option number 1, saprophytes are not given any place in ecological pyramids. So this is true, saprophytes are not given any place in ecological pyramids, even though they play a vital role in the ecosystem. And option 2, it assumes a simple food chain that almost never exists in nature. So this is true. Number 3, it accommodates a food web. So this is wrong. Ecological pyramid does not accommodate a food web, and so this option is the answer, that it accommodates a food web is not a limitation in ecological pyramid. And number 4, it does not take into account the same species belonging to 2 or more trophic levels. So this is also correct. So over here the option number 3 is the correct answer. Okay, our next question, the Bt toxin in genetically engineered Bt cotton kills the pest by. So the very first option is correct, that is creating pores in the midgut. Now Bt toxin gene in Bt cotton produces a protein crystal which is inactive in the plant but becomes active when an insect eats the plant. And what happens then, the alkaline pH in the insect's gut convert the protein crystal into active form which binds to the receptors in the insect's gut cells, causing the cells to rupture. And about the other options, Bt toxin doesn't kill the pest by affecting their respiratory system or nervous system, and it doesn't alter the pH of the body fluid. So option 2, 3 and 4 are incorrect, and option 1 is the correct answer. Okay, our next question is match the following, and in this one, euglenoids are photosynthetic in the presence of sunlight, and when deprived of sunlight they behave like heterotrophs. So option A connects with option number 4, that is switching between photosynthetic and heterotrophic mode. Okay, and dinoflagellates are mostly marine and photosynthetic. So B connects with 3, and slime molds are saprophytic protists. So C connects with 2, and plasmodium is a malarial parasite which causes malaria. So option D with 1. So with this the correct option is number 3, A4, B3, C2 and D1. Okay, our next question is based on graph. In this one, the option number 1 is correct, because with the increase in the substrate concentration, the velocity of enzymatic reaction rises at first. The reaction ultimately reaches maximum velocity, that is Vmax, which is not exceeded by any further rise in concentration of the substrate. And this is because the enzyme molecules are fewer than the substrate molecules, and after saturation of these molecules, there are no more free enzymes. No more free enzyme molecules to bind the additional substrate molecule. So hence the option, the graph number 1 is correct. Now in graph number 2, the velocity of reaction continuously increases, which is never the case. Okay, and in graph number 3, after reaching Vmax, the velocity declines. So this option is also not correct. It never declines like this. And in number 4, the velocity of the reaction declines from high to low on increasing the substrate concentration. So that never happens. If you increase the substrate concentration, the velocity will increase, the velocity of the reaction will increase, but will reach a stagnation after a certain level. So option number 1 is correct. Question is, when will the population density increase under special conditions? So when the number of option number 1, death, exceeds the number of birth and also number of immigrants equal to number of immigrants. So this option is wrong. If death exceeds the number, then it will not, the population will not increase. Number 2, birth plus number of immigrants equal to number of deaths plus number of emigrants. So this is also incorrect. It cannot be equal. If the population is equal to number of death, then the population density will not increase. And number 3, birth plus number of emigrant is more than the number of death plus number of immigrants. So this is also wrong. And the fourth one, birth plus number of immigrants is more than the sum of number of death and number of immigrants. So this option is correct. Population density will increase if the number of birth plus number of immigrants is more than the number of death plus the number of immigrants. So option number 4 is correct over here. Okay, our next question is, when a tall pea plant with round seeds was that is self-pollinated, it produced the progeny of tall plants with round seeds and tall plants with wrinkle seeds. So identify the genotype of the parent plant. So the correct option over here is TTR, capital R and small r, that is capital T for tall plants and capital R for round seeds and small r for wrinkle seeds. Now for this, when capital T that is tall plant and capital R that is round seeds and small r for wrinkle seeds, this type of plant is self-pollinated or self-fertilized. Two types of gametes are produced, that is capital T capital R, so this will give tall plant round seeds, and capital T small r, this will give tall plant and wrinkle seeds. So the gametes represent the following options, that is capital T capital R tall and round seeds, and capital T small r, that is tall plant with wrinkle seeds. So this is the genotype of the parent plant that will give the options tall plant with round seeds and tall plants with wrinkle seeds. Okay, our next question is match the following. In this one, the option A, biodiversity hotspots are seen in Western Ghats. Now, biodiversity hotspots are regions with high level of species richness and high degree of endemism. For example, seen in Western Ghats, Sri Lanka, Indo-Burma region and Himalayas. And sacred groves are seen in Khasi and Jaintia hills in Meghalaya. Now, sacred groves are forest patches that have been untouched and undisturbed by the tribal people as part of their religious and cultural beliefs. And such sacred groves are found in Khasi and Jaintia hills in Meghalaya in India. And the third option, that is Johannesburg, South Africa, connects with World Summit on Sustainable Development that happened in year 2002. And the fourth option, alien species invasion, and the example is Parthenium. Parthenium is an alien species, and Parthenium is an invasive weed which has multiple negative impacts on human and animal health as well as crop yield and biodiversity. And in India, it is locally known as carrot grass, Congress grass, or gajar ghas or dhanura. So the correct option over here is option number 1. A connects with 4, B with 1, C with 2 and D with 3. Okay, next question is, observe the given figure, identify the different stages labeled with alphabets by selecting the correct option. Now, these are the steps of Calvin's cycle in photosynthesis, and as you can see, there are a few steps that are labeled A, B and C, and we have to identify the process. So, option A is carboxylation, where carbon dioxide combines with ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate, that is RUBP, to produce 3-phosphoglycerate, that is 3-PGA. And B is reduction, and these are the series of reactions that lead to the formation of glucose, and these steps involve utilization of 2 molecules of ATP for phosphorylation and 2 of NADPH for reduction. And C is the regeneration process, during which the carbon dioxide acceptor, that is ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate RUBP, is formed again so that the cycle will continue. So the correct option over here is 3, that is A is carboxylation, B is reduction and C is regeneration. Okay, so these were the next 20 questions, and if you like our content, you can check out our other playlist, and if you like, you can subscribe to our channel. Thank you.